Owning a boat comes with a number of perks, like being able to fling your favorite fishing rod around. And here's another perk. Geico's boat insurance covers your boat and your belongings. And with specialist support from agents that are as passionate about boating as you are, there's so much value that you'll want to high-five someone. But not while you're holding your fishing rod. That's a prized possession. So hold on tight with both hands and keep it covered through boat insurance. Get more with Geico.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. And this is the week before we do the call to action. And the last two Sundays, we've re-released two of the episodes on Justice for Hailey. Two of the first episodes, because we're having so many more new followers come in now, and we wanted them to hear that and that to be at the top of their feed. Well, today, what I want to do is release the number one out of all the episodes we've done on Hailey. The most listened to episode is when Cleary is being Cleary, being an asshole, and with the cops in the interrogation room, or in how they play him and how they set it up. But we're going to play that again today. Now, next week, we're going to have Miss Barbara and Stella and Tyler on, and we are going to lay out the case step by step, all the lies, everything that's been told since the beginning of the case until now. And then we're going to provide you with a list of everyone that's involved, from the detectives to the district attorney to the news media to anyone who will listen to try to get justice for Hailey. And justice for Hailey in this case starts with getting her case told before a grand jury, not ruled as a suicide, which we all know the pathologist changed it from a suicide to a undetermined, only because he didn't have the information at the time about what was going on that night. But anyway, long story short, we need to get this whole case, it's all put together for them, dot by dot, lie by lie, circumstance by circumstance, and with lifers behind it. When we do it next week, I expect that following Monday, they're going to have a hell of a day. And hopefully we'll get the indictment, or at least the grand jury hearing for Hailey's indictment, Brooke Cleary's indictment for Hailey's murder, right? Don't want to get out of prison for, in a couple years being down for moving her body or for tearing up shit in the police room. We want him to catch the appropriate charge. So today, again, we're about to replay the number one most listened to episode in the hashtag Justice for Hailey series. Next week, call to action with the family, and we'll see if we can't make this happen. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Peace.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. And today we're continuing hashtag Justice for Hailey, and it's going to be a different format today than I've ever done, because I don't know how else to do it, but I'll explain as we go along. So when we left you last, Cleary showed his true colors, showed his ass to the detectives after the first hour or however long it was on the episode previously, when they ask him questions, they get him past Miranda, and he tells all the lies. We know are lies, the detectives knew were lies. And then I cut that one off right before before they confronted him about Hailey's murder, right? And then he lost his Jesus and did all the cursing, and you fucking pigs, and fake cried. Even the detective said, dude, you didn't have any tears coming out of your eyes, right? And so he goes through this whole big long, blowing up and cursing them. And the older detective, he was more angry against, and then he would turn to the younger detective and saying, and you don't believe me either? So the Patreon of Convicts, our subscribers, have all the videos, okay? Y'all are only getting to hear certain excerpts from them because they're so long, right? But these videos are taken from two different views in the interrogation room, and nothing paints a picture better than the video. I can't tell you the story as good as the videos show it. Now, that goes triply true for this episode, because what happened, he's showing his ass, and finally they were like, basically, fuck you. He was like, I don't want to talk to y'all anymore. And so what they do is they bring him to another interview room. Now, he's still got on the same shirt. You can see it in the video with the blood on it. The same shirt, and he has the mask that they gave him because he said he had COVID, and he has his red Solo cup. All right. And they bring him in, place him in this separate interview room. Now, in this interview room, there's only a round table and a couple of chairs. Okay. And it's 4 walls, 2 cameras. And he obviously knows where the cameras are, and I'm going to get to that. And there's a peephole in the door. So they bring him in here in the room, and they set him down. And the video, y'all, is, I think it's close to an hour, but he's in the room. It's an old investigator trick. You let him stew, let him sit, watch and see what he wants to do. Maybe he's going to come back and say, okay, now I want to talk, right? And say it was an accident or whatever. But I would have done the same thing. You have nothing to lose. Meanwhile, you're also doing your investigation. You're following up on different things. You're chasing down leads and, preparing his booking paperwork, figuring out what you're going to charge him with so you can hold him, right? Getting a court order for DNA and other things like that. So it's kind of an old cop trick, but it's not. They're still working, but when they put him in this room by himself, he is just a total dick. And I'm going to explain it to you. And because most of it is nonverbal, and you can hear all the noise and everything, because most of it's nonverbal, and most of y'all aren't subscribers, and you won't get to see the video of him acting a total ass, and he's by himself, like a little kid. I have taken a step-by-step notes of exactly what he did in the room, minute by minute. And then, so I'm going to read those to you now, and then I'm going to attach the audio. And I would, even if you're not a subscriber, look, if you want to become a subscriber, a patron or convict, you can go to patreon.com, type in Real Life, Real Crime, and it has all the different levels and everything on there. And look, you get bonus episodes. I think there's like 25, 26 original Real Life, Real Crime bonus episodes locked up, plus all the other cases, all the other case file materials that we've done over the years, everything from Hailey's case, all the body cams from the different cops and the pictures from the crime scene and everything else. Well, those have to be locked up, right? And so if you want to see them, have access to them, go to patreon.com, type in Real Life, Real Crime, and it'll bring it all up. Or go download the Real Life, Real Crime community app from the App Store for free. And if you choose to, in there is a subscription mode. And I affectionately call our subscribers in there convicts. And you can do it in there. It's the same levels, the same benefits that you get as Patreon. It's just inside our app. And all these videos are there. And nothing can tell it better than the video. But unfortunately, on this one, 90% of this video is him doing all this crazy shit, but he doesn't say a whole lot. But I'm gonna get to that in a second. But what I want to say unequivocally, and if you saw the videos from before and you listened to the audio on the past episodes, if you didn't get to see the videos, he's not drunk, y'all. He's not high. And when I read you all the stupid shit that he does in here, that you would think this guy's got to be fucked up, but he's not. I mean, you could look at him and he speaks clearly, and he's not staggering. There's none of that in there. So when I read all this, it's going to sound like he is, but I'm telling you my professional opinion of dealing with people who are fucked up all these years, including my entire life. This cat's not one. He is just an asshole. All right. And I think ultimately when they put him in this room, all this shit he does, he's trying to get a rise out of the detectives. He's trying to get them to come back in so he can be confrontational again. And then at the end of it, you'll see he's a little bitch. All right. So we're going to start. And again, I'm going to read it all to you. My notes that I took as I watched the video again. And then we're going to play the audio. All right. But let's start with, they bring him into the separate interrogation room and they shut the door. Okay. And he sits down and he tears up that red Solo cup, rips it into pieces, little bitty pieces. And then he stares at the camera. Okay. And while he's staring at the camera, he bangs his fist on the table. Like, bam, look, if I was the cop and I wasn't waiting to see what his reaction was going to be, that I would have gone in there and been like, bitch, don't you be hitting my shit. But they let him go and his true colors came out. So he bangs on the table. Then that face mask they gave him, because he said he had COVID, he tears the mask up and throws it at the wall. Right. And then he gets up and he goes to the door and he tries to open it. And he says, you fucking pigs. Then he takes off his shirt. Okay. And he's walking around the room. The detective comes back in the door, and you can hear this when I play the audio. The young detective comes back to the door and says, hey, don't tear anything up. And he says like, it's only a red cup, something like that. Right. And the detective leaves, and then he begins to tear up the cup some more. Right. He's just being a dick. And then he's sitting down. He begins to play the drum on the table, like, with his hands. Then he stops and he looks at his hands. Then the ring, I think this is like a kind of like a male engagement ring that he got from Hailey, that's supposed to show his love for Hailey. He takes the ring off and he's holding it up in his right hand, and he drops it on the table almost like you would drop a top and lets it spin. And he does that over and over again. He's dropping it for air and catches it and lets it hit the table, spin, catches it. I mean, repeatedly, like it's a toy, right? Then he stops and he bangs his hands on the table again. Okay. I mean, it's loud, y'all. You'll hear it in the audio. Then he stands up and he goes to the door and he covers or he tries to cover the peephole with the rubber band part from the torn mask that they gave him, which he shredded that bitch up too. And then he tries to tie the door shut with the rubber band. I'm like, what the fuck are you going to tie it to, dude? It's a doorknob. But and he takes his shirt off. Y'all, I told you that, right? And so then he puts his shirt back on. Then he sits at the table, and all the torn up mask and the red Solo cup and all that, he throws it all over the room. Okay. Then he starts banging on the table again. And I'm not talking about tapping the fucking table. I'm talking about banging the shit out of it. And then he kicks the table twice, kicks the shit out of it. And then he stares at the camera, and guess what he does? He flips the bird at the camera because he knows they're watching. He flips the bird at the camera for like 10 seconds. I counted it. All right. He's like, did not say anything. He's just, and I'm doing it in my hand with my hand now. He's flipping the bird at the camera. Okay. Then he kicks the chairs several times. Like he's like kicking them and knocking them across the room. And then he sits there and he stares at the door. All right. Then he leans back and starts to slide the table across the room repeatedly. Okay. This is a big round table. He's like slides it, and then pulls it back and slides it again violently. All right. Then he starts to spin the table, spinning in circles, like grabs and spins as hard as he can. And then y'all, this is all over a period of time, but I'm giving it to you blow by blow what he does. Then he stands up and walks to the door, and he tries to cover the peephole again with the string from the mask. Now, if you're a cop and somebody does that, back in my day, we didn't have cameras in the interrogation room, but we didn't have a peephole either. But if you were covering the peephole, I would have come in and had said, "Hey, bitch, don't cover the peephole, right? We got to be able to see." But they had 2 other cameras on him. So he tries to cover the peephole again with the string from the mask.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
And that doesn't work naturally. So what does he do? He punches the door. Punches it. Okay? And then he walks around the room and picks up all the trash he's thrown on the floor and puts it back on the table. And he sits down and he puts his feet up in a chair, right? I think there were 3 chairs total. So he sits down, he puts his feet up in another chair. And then he begins to beat the shit out of the wall. But intermittently at this time, like he'll hit it, bam, and then bam. I mean, it's fucking loud. So the detectives can hear it. Everybody in the police department can hear it. And he's just banging on the wall. Then he picks up one of the chairs and slams it on the ground. I'm talking about picks it like 2 or 3 feet off the ground and just slams it as hard as he can. Then he starts to slide the chair violently. He slides it, slings it. And then he stands up and he moves the whole table and the chair out of the camera's view, as much as he didn't know, evidently, that there was another camera. And in the Patron and Convicts, you'll have both cameras put up, the views. But he slides the table in what he thinks is out of the camera's view, and he begins to bang on the table. Okay. And then he starts throwing the trash all over the room again. I mean, he's just being a dick, right? Then there's more banging. He's banging, I guess, on the wall you can see it from the second camera. He's banging as loud as he can. Then he holds his hand up in front of the camera again, starts flipping the bird, right? That international sign to go fuck yourself. And then he does more banging, y'all. And look, those detectives had a lot more patience than me. I'd have skull drug this fucker. But he's banging. And, then he starts picking up the table and dropping it. Picking it up, dropping it. And then he flips the bird again. Okay? And then he starts playing the drums on the table, but this time it was for a longer duration. He's doing it for longer. All right? And I mean, not because he's fucked up, y'all. He's just doing it to be a dick. He wants them to come back in the room. This is my impression. Well, what does he do next? All right. Well, you're pretty sure you can't get out of the camera's view. So what do? He gets on the floor underneath the table and hides. And all you can see is his feet from the one camera angle. All you can see is his feet sticking out from underneath the table. But then he starts to bang on the table again. Why? Because you're being a dick. All right. Then he gets up and he sits in the chair and he starts some heavy breathing. Like, you know, I don't know why, but this is what he was doing. Then he picks up the table, lifts it, and slams it again. And then he stops and he stares at the door. And while he's staring at the door, he starts to hit the wall. And then he looks at his hands, and then he picks up the table, and this time he's banging, he's slamming it as hard as he can. And he slams it across the room violently, right? Like any other table would have broken. Then he starts playing with the rubber band from the face mask. Then he gets up. He walks around the room and starts banging on things, the wall. He kicks the door, kicks the shit out of it. Then he goes and he sits back down, starts playing the drums on the table again until he got done with that. Then he picks up the table again and slams it on the ground. Then again, he starts to spin the table around and around and around, like violently, y'all. As fast as you do it, just spins the shit out of it. Then he puts his foot up on it and he kicks it, the table, all right? Then he grabs the table and he spins it several more times. And then he moves his position again and bangs on the table repeatedly, okay? This is all over a period of like an hour, y'all. And then he starts to spin the table again. And he starts banging. And then he bangs more. When I say banging, I mean he's banging on the table. He's kicking the table. He's hitting the wall. And at some point, he's spinning the table and doing the banging. He gets up and he goes and sits in the chair. He moves the chair in front of the door, blocking it. And then he sits in it, right? Like he's barricading himself in the room, like, fuck you. You won't come in. I'm not going to let you come in. And he starts banging on it again. All right. Well, he realized that they're not going to come in for that reason. So he stands up and he takes off his shirt. And what does he do? He covers the peephole with his shirt. And while he's doing that, he starts banging on the door, and he goes and sits down without a shirt on. And he slams the shirt on the table, like kind of whipping it. Wham, wham. And he does it over and over again, y'all. And then he starts taking the shirt and he was whipping it around, like around his head. And he starts slamming it and hitting the wall. And he starts beating the wall. And again, he sends that sign of love. He starts flipping the bird at the camera. And then he starts beating the wall again and slaps his shirt over and over into the wall. Like you're spinning it, bam, 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 into the wall, right? So at this point, I think he must have damaged the microphone to the camera that I was watching on. And again, both cameras will be put up. It must be the same camera system for the microphone system for both cameras, because it cuts off on both of them at this point. So he must have damaged the microphone. Anyway, he slides the table in front of the door now. Okay. Remember he did it with the chair earlier? He slides the table in front of the door, barricading it. And he sits on the other side of the table and he puts his feet up on the table. Okay. Then he puts his shirt on his head, covering his face, and starts to bang on the wall. Banging on the wall again. No response, right? The cops hadn't come in. And this has been going on now for 30 plus minutes. Then he laid his head on the table for maybe 2 minutes, and he then he sits up and he starts banging on the wall. And this time it's nonstop, y'all. And he's doing it with his elbow. I mean, he's bam, 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 bam. And, I'm assuming that he hurt his hand, or, that's why he's doing that. But after he gets tired of banging on the wall with his elbow, which was even louder, I guess maybe he was tired for a minute. He lays his head on the table. All right. But then he didn't lay his head on the table for long. He sits up again and starts to spin the table. Like, y'all, when I say spinning, I'm talking about grabbing it and spinning as hard as he can. And then he stops and he looks at his hands. And this is around the 37-minute mark in the video, y'all. And then the younger detective comes in and moves the table out of the way. And Brooks the detective kind of slides it, and Brooks kind of pushes it to the side. And the detective has some uniform guys behind him, right? This asshole's been trying to get them to come in the room the whole time. Look, if you ever got somebody in a cell and they take their shirt off and they're doing all that banging, that means they want to fight. And I can tell you that from all my years in prison experience. But the detective basically, and I'm going to play it for you, but because I have the audio from the detective when he comes in the room. So, I'm going to go ahead and play that for you now.
Just relax, alright? You think I fucking had something to do with my fiance? I don't even want to fucking talk to you guys anymore. I'm done. I'm done fucking talking to you guys. I'm done. Shut up, you fucking prick. Did I damage anything other than a plastic cup? Okay. Yeah, I didn't. So, fuck off. Okay.
Recording.
We're gonna move you, all right? All right. Nice wall. Let's do the shirt here. What happened? You know how to do the holding cells? We'll figure it out when we're done. So he wants. Huh? I'll go after. Megan? The light? Sit down. Switch it. There's no switch in there. Yeah, I don't know in there. Gotta be a switch in there. Yeah, it's gotta be there. There's no way it's. The only thing in there is the press for the be able to talk.
So y'all, finally they had enough. The detective comes in and this big badass, Billy Badass, you've been doing all this shit. You want to do all this and that. Well, he didn't do anything. And the detective says, look, we're moving you somewhere else. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. And they cuff him up. And he goes with him like a little bitch, like you just heard on the audio. So with that, I'm going to stop. It's a longer episode today, y'all, because now I'm going to attach that whole audio and you're going to listen to, I mean, I don't know if he's trying to act crazy. I know he's trying to act pissed off, but you know, when the detective comes in the room and they cuff him up, he's a little bitch. He's docile, doesn't do anything. But you know the one thing he really doesn't do? He doesn't ask about Hailey. He never asks about Hailey. And that's the common theme throughout this, right? And you know why he doesn't ask about Hailey? Because he knows what happened to her. He definitely knows. So I'm going to conclude this episode, y'all. Please continue to hashtag Justice for Hailey on any comments you make on Facebook or social media. And Miss Barbara and Stella and Tyler, the family, look, this is a hard time of the year for them. This happened on December 26th, and, you know, so it's going to be a couple of days after you hear this, and, you know, naturally the day after Christmas. It's a hard time for them. Y'all pray for them. I just got off the phone with Miss Barbara a few minutes ago, and they were worried that they had done something wrong because I hadn't been communicating as much this week as I had in past weeks. But, you know, we were busy doing stuff, but always working on justice for Hailey. And I need y'all to please continue to like and share it. Share it, and hashtag everything. Hashtag justice for Hailey. So the next episode begins an odyssey that you won't believe. Okay. Obviously they're moving him from the interrogation room, and the next episode I'm going to pick up exactly. I got to tell the story, y'all, in order, and you're going to see what happens. And the next 4, okay, because that's we have the audio and video. The next 4 are going to blow your mind. Absolutely going to blow your mind. And, you know, the one thing I say out, it never changes, is the truth. This dude can't tell the truth to save his life, or he won't tell it, you know. And anyway, so please continue to listen, to like, and share. Y'all, that's it for this week. If you haven't listened to the other ones, go back and listen to them. If you want to see all the videos and the crime scene and everything else, and yes, we're going to be putting up some more stuff. We have so much stuff, and a lot of it I wouldn't put up for anybody, but a lot of it needs to be put up, and we're going to as it goes along. Patreon.com, Real Life Real Crime, or go to Real Life Real Crime Community app in the App Store, download it for free. And if you want to subscribe through there, I call them convicts. And you get all the bonus materials and bonus episodes of Real Life Real Crime, and it's just all the case files from other cases we've worked, and just lots of different stuff that the general public doesn't have. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life Real Crime, the podcast. Until next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder by Peace.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.